Kenya LinkedIn live stream with my longtime friend and colleague Vonti McRae of Vonti Pictures. Hi, Vonti. How you doing?
I am doing great, Jacob. Thank you so much. I am so sorry. Technical difficulties over here. It is raining here. Hold on, let me get a light on, get more bright so you know that I'm actually here.
Great.
Jacob,
Great.
thank you
Yeah,
so
speaking of
much.
technical difficulties, I've just flew back from California. I'm in the UK, so I'm a bit jet lagged. I'm just I'm like in 3 different time zones. So just bear with me. Bear with me. Could be a
Absolutely.
long show.
Yeah, exactly. No, you're
So tell us how
absolutely.
you're doing.
I'm doing really good, man. I'm just like, I'm trying to, I don't know, Jacob. I'm just trying to like get myself focused and everything and just do what we got to do, man. That's
Yeah,
it.
I feel it.
Yeah. I'm excited though, man. I'm so excited that, you've come on and everything. We get to talk about this project together.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
great. Obviously, we worked together we went to film school together, grad school, and we worked on multiple projects together. And obviously, we've both taken pretty terrible jobs in the meantime to survive. But we kept chasing filmmaking, which is something I'm glad we get a chance to talk about. Looking back, would you have chosen this career if you thought it was going to be very difficult, or would you like, no, I'm just going to walk away?
Oh man, that is a complex one, man, because my undergrad was actually in broadcast news.
Oh,
I was supposed to be a reporter. Yeah, I was supposed to work the news desk and everything. Undergrad was broadcast news journalism with a minor in political science. So isn't that crazy? Like
I would CNN. I think, would you be on The View or
exactly? I would be like, I don't even know, man. Yeah, I know, right? I don't know. I don't know if I would have been like that weather girl that's like, hi, yes.
I didn't.
Over here in the Northeast.
Look out for this tornado.
But that's a lot of times the journalism background tied really great into the screenwriting side. Jacob, I just love that you've even taken the opportunity today because like you said, you're in the UK now. And there's somebody that I really much trust. We've known each other for like 2 decades. Isn't that crazy? I feel old.
Yeah, it's
2 decades of filming.
It's been a few minutes, but isn't fun? I mean, we've done a lot of work along the way, and ups and downs, peaks, valleys. But it's great.
Not ups and downs. Hold on. People will blame me somehow. So no, ups and downs, not in our friendship. Ups and downs and like locking in projects, really. Yeah. We'll get so close, like to the edge.
I know.
But to go back to your question though, that was supposed to be my undergrad is in mass comm, and then I went to the Academy of Art. So that's why I got my master's in film. But yeah, that wasn't the goal at all. Now, both of these career opportunities, when I looked them up back in the day, right, it said your salary range in filmmaking is 0 to 1 million plus. So would I have maybe chosen something with more stability? Hindsight is 2020. Yes.
Zero. Just zero. Then to
$0 to a million
plus. There's no medium.
Was
nothing in the middle.
Like no, it's $0 to a million plus.
Show me the
salary range. I had never seen that before.
The school counselor who wrote that, I'm gonna punch him right in the face. You liar.
But it was accurate though, if you think about it, like the struggle of a lot of filmmakers, right? Even with these all the things that we've been through in our industry recently with the protests here. You're in the UK as well. Anything that happens in the US usually filters over to other countries and all of that stuff. It kind of like puts a standstill to the whole industry, right?
Yeah.
So when you look at it in that way, it's kind of like it really impacted. And some people have gotten out of filmmaking altogether. They just do not feel like it's sustainable. But Jacob, you know how I am.
Yeah.
Do I not go against the grain?
That's what I mean.
Which is why I want to do Kenya beyond the postcard.
Yeah. So I mean,
Because
even after all that, would you say like, when was it when you're like, okay, I've worked in the entertainment industry. I just kind of want to build something that I can own. Like, where was that point where you're like, you know what, I want to start my own company. I want to be my own business.
oh my goodness. So, after grad school, that was like a really jarring thing, right? First of all, I'm from New York. You know that I'm from Brooklyn, and to even go to a whole other coast. So the academy was in the Bay Area. I'd never been to the West Coast, never seen a palm tree, didn't know what it smelled like out there. I didn't know anything. I just got off that plane like, look, this is what God is calling me to do. Go ahead and do it, right? I don't really know. That's a hard one to answer, man. That really is because yeah, I don't know,
Now
Jacob.
you're a fish out
That's a
of
hard
water. I
one.
remember I am from the Bay Area. I was like, who's this? You're like,
Yeah,
Brooklyn, what? I was like,
Brooklyn, what? Like, girl, don't bring that over here. We are
oh my
passive aggressive
God.
on this side.
Would you like a
On
cup
the
of
West Coast,
coffee?
baby, we passive aggressive.
We just have a cup of coffee or
What
just
you say?
relax. Yeah. You're like, no.
Yeah, yeah. No, but I think that was the biggest thing was taking those chances and rolling the dice on myself. So because I've done that from the beginning of my career, Jacob, I think that's what made it easier for me was, you know what, go roll the dice on yourself. You've been working for other people, working at HBO for 9 years, working at Sony for 3 years. It was just like, listen, you've been in this for over a decade. You've helped them get a slew of products out. Why can't you do this for yourself?
Yeah.
I sacrificed a lot to go and get my master's degree, that master in fine arts and screenwriting, only to not actually be able to do screenwriting because of, the corporate really overwhelming. It is like a fast churn, fast grind. And in 2021, I took rolled the dice on myself. Yeah.
Now,
So that was the whole.
so I mean, of course, we're storytellers and you work in this creative industry, but there's like this real line, a business line, where it's like, no, that's not going to work. You can't just do whatever you want. It has to fit for either the corporate message or someone wants to be like, oh, well, that's really not going to work. How did your experience at HBO kind of like tweak that a bit? Because you can't just be like, oh, I'm going to write what I want. I'm the artist. I could do, like, that's not how this is going to be. You know what I mean?
I mean, I don't really know how to say it. I don't really know.
Some of your scripts, you wrote a lot of like, you read some superhero stuff and you want like other things. You're like, oh yeah, that's really good. And like there's always a kind of a business element to the other side who's like reading it and trying to say, hey, okay, well, this is going to work or this is not going to work. It's a fine line.
It's such a fine line, but that's the exciting part, right? When I was teaching screenwriting, as an associate professor, I used to tell people it's okay if you want to write a movie about dolls that are like, you know what I mean? Yeah. But it better be better than Annabelle. It better be better than Chucky, right? If you want to write the best vampire movie and everything, what makes your thing that's going to stand out the most? So genres, right? When we are looking at content, when you look at a genre, it can double up, right? You got the dramedies, right? Yeah. The action comedies, like all of those sub genres. What I do is pay attention to where the trends are as well. It's a different thing when like an agent is there, and I don't have an agent, right? But when an agent is saying, well, this is what the studios are looking for, it's up to you to really be on the post, be willing to write on that and figure out and forward thinking on what the market will need for the next day, right? So that's why even with the Kenya Beyond the Postcard, this is an original IP. There's nothing else out there like this, right? We're looking at creating something that does a deep dive into the overall country instead of just like, oh man, look at that good old meal that they had at that fancy restaurant in Kenya. I want to fly out there. No, this is really empowerment of an entire country. So that's going to be the challenge. And it is, yeah, I think that's what it is, Jacob. It's just looking forward thinking as an analyst and a strategist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hit them where they ain't is always the mantra, like push where no one's pushed before, which is good. I think that's a great part of it. It is a great concept. I think looking at it and in the deep dive of people's lives in Kenya, a place that people don't know a ton about, which is a great opportunity
Mhm.
to exposure for business opportunities and whatnot. I think it'll be a great show, very entertaining as well. Um,
Yeah, there's a young lady that's on. I don't know if she was able to tune in right now. Her name is Jerusha. Um, she was saying that her family used to show her photos and stuff from when they used to go to Kenya. So she was really excited to know that this is a possible docu-series that we're going to be launching. So you're impacting people's lives that are like, oh man, I had a memory of that, right? Like imagine if you couldn't go back to the Bay Area and visit for the next few decades, but you know that it's something that you heard about growing up or something. So yeah, I love it, man. And I'm so happy that and honored that you're coming on this journey with me, Jacob. You already know
well,
that.
I mean, I've known you
You're
for a long
laughing.
time.
Why are you
I know,
laughing?
but this will be your first trip to Africa. I want you to tell me like a little bit about how you'll feel as like a person of like to understand the
Black American.
production and everything that it takes to go into this and just being on the ground there. How will you feel?
I'm going to be excited. And I'll be honest, I don't want to script this out too much. I want it to happen very organically. Me and you have had those conversations. So you as a producer and then doing story development with me, I don't want, it's not something like I want to script out so much. I want it to be very loosely with the overall theme and everything. I think I'm going to be absolutely excited. You know, this is why we want to do the scouting trip, right? This is the whole reason for us to even be on this live and be vulnerable, right? We're working on a Kickstarter to get ourselves out there. I don't know how I'm going to feel. I might cry. I might, be angry to not even come back to the US. You know what I'm saying? I might give up my passport and be like, yo, Jacob, I'm moving back to the UK with you, bro, because this is too much. Africa was beautiful. I got to do what I got to do so I can move there permanently. Okay. So
As long as
I'm
you
very
show up on
serious.
set, you do whatever you want. It's a work day. We could do it.
Come on now. Jacob, first of all, you know from my experience working at the studios as a project manager, I'm not going to micromanage the process, but I'm going to know every single step of the process that's going on. People know when they work with me, and I want to go back to what you said about creating my own footprint, right?
Yeah.
That was the motivation. It was just that what I was seeing in the creative side, and this is not directed at anybody, right? But I find myself in a unique opportunity to have a Hollywood studio background and then go and create a studio, right? And then go create a footprint. So it's kind of like you get into the castle, figure out how excellent the castle is working. What are you going to adopt for your own personal versus winging it? So when I used to come up with pitch decks and all of that, Jacob, honestly, I was able to go and speak to people in my network that were just like, look, Vonti, this is what someone pitched to the studio. And so you need to mirror this. This is how the studio wants their pitch decks formatted. And I went forth and been great. I can't thank that individual enough. That's an executive and everything that said, you know what? Let me not let this woman fall on her face. Let me show her what no one is going to tell her. She doesn't have all the things that every other filmmaker might have, which is like an agent and all of this media funding behind her and everything, but she has a massive network of people that I could really trust at the executive level that is willing to show me what's happening behind the curtain.
So support is key.
Yeah,
it is really key, honestly, to have that kind of support.
It really is.
It's nurturing to help you like guide you for a bit, like, hey, I've open to questions and these kinds of things, because there's so many different directions anything in particular can go. It's good to have someone you can talk to and bounce some ideas off of or things you're thinking about. Just having a little bit of help to be like, hey, can you help me with this, or what is this supposed to look like? And just a little bit of help, which is amazing. That's really great for a network.
I definitely even mentors, Jacob. I don't know how many you have, but one of my favorite ones is Angelique Letizia. She's a really great executive producer, director, whatever, and I often bounce ideas off of her because she's somebody I really do trust, right? People like Roderick Jefferson, Rich Least, a lot of people in my network that I really respect in business. And I wish someone would have told me that when I was in film school. Like, make sure you find mentors that are strides ahead of you that can guide you through this landmine. I see a lot of filmmakers, honestly, Jacob, they're making a lot of assumptions about how the studios are run. They're making a lot of assumptions how you approach producers and all of that. An example, right? And you've seen this, Jacob. When you go to a film festival,
Oh God.
am I lying about that? And it's many moons ago, right? What do? They hand the person the mic, right? They're like, "Oh, you have a question for, Steven freaking Spielberg." Okay. They're like, "Here they go. Hi, yes, Steven. I just had a question. So, part one of two of the question, right? Number one is, how do I get my script in your hand
Oh,
after this
God.
festival? Number two is, can I go ahead and email that to you? Come on. When I tell you, you just got you. If you don't know nothing else, you just blacklisted yourself.
Yeah.
You just said in a room
please take the
full
mic
of
from that guy.
people-
Please take the mic.
Yeah. But not only that, it is the timing, it shows how amateur you are. That's all I would say. It gives a red flag of amateur. It
Yeah.
bleeds it, right? Because you just picked up the mic and solicited someone that legally cannot be solicited. It's not that they don't want to hear about your project, right? But it's the legal ramifications of Jacob sending me his script, I opening it up and reading it, and then being like, "Oh my God, I got a rom-com just like that." But my romantic comedy gets released the next year. And so Jacob's like, "Hold on, you took my idea."
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't know what that other person that's receiving your info already has in-house. Right?
Yeah.
So you over here, they stole my idea. They stole my idea. Did they really steal your idea? Or you didn't realize on the other end of that, you just sent them something that legally just opened them up wide. Yeah. That's why people send me that. Nope, I do not open solicitations. Thank you very much. This email has not been read. Boom, 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 boom. Have a great day. If you would like to sign an NDA or a release agreement with me, then I'm willing to
Of course.
I know your face.
It has to be clear, that's just part of the business side. I don't love that part of the business side, but that's just part of it. You have to protect your IP, and that guy who asked that question, like, he's talking to attorneys before he leaves the room. Like, get him in the back. Yeah, speak to that guy.
Yeah.
Done.
Somebody in the back is like publicist. Somebody in the back is like Jacob Dailey from the Bay Area. That's filmmaker. Okay, Academy of Art. Oh, found his LinkedIn strike. But it's like, you know what I mean? It's just knowing what the protocol is. It could have been a different thing. It's like, hey, you know what? Do you have a mentorship program, Spielberg? I would love to join that. Is there anybody I could speak with in order for me to get access to that filmmakers fellowship that you have? I would love to join that. You're still getting the same kind of access versus you trying to pitch them something because you got the mic at a film festival.
Yeah, I know they don't really teach the protocol, at least where we were at. They weren't talking about that kind of stuff yet, but more on the creative theory and filmmaking, storytelling and whatnot, which is fine. But you get out and you're like, I need an agent right away. You're gonna hunt for one.
Yeah, I know. All right, we're getting on track. I know. I'm sorry, Dave.
Sorry.
But I'm all about teaching, man. I'm all about education. We're in that age range, you and I, right?
I've been talking about I've seen you online and your stuff. Talk a little about your AI stuff. I wanted to hear more about like your learning centers and that kind of thing. It sounded really interesting.
Mm-hmm. So, there's this thing in filmmaking, it's very much a lot of distrust with AI. What I always tell people is that you'll use it at the moral and ethical level that you would like. I don't look at outside parties, right? So what I do is I know that I'm a screenwriter. I know that I write my own stuff. However, there's content that I want to make. So I have created a company called We Teach AI. And it's We Teach AI LLC, because there was another org that was named like But it's all about AI education. It's about teaching people how to use it, almost like AI for dummies, right? It's like very, from the minute level. Jacob might be a master at machine learning or something like that, but the person that's in the crowd right next to him may not have heard of ChatGPT. So why not start at the bottom and build them up? So I use AI pretty often to like overhaul my website, create logos, demos, even the proof of concept trailer that you were nice enough to put together. Me and you work together. I know. Jacob, by the way, when you see that proof of concept teaser,
Yeah.
it has an intermingle of real footage and AI generated footage, music, all of those things that might have taken us, over $100,000 to go and film, right?
Yeah.
This is why we want to go on this scouting trip. We want to go get the live footage, but when you don't have that capital, and I need to sit in a room with studio executives or investors, how can I show them exactly what a project is? So yes, I definitely use AI.
It does
Mhm,
help. I mean, just from like you're kind of like your grassroots kind of movement kind of stuff. If you want to get some traction,
mhm,
you don't have the kind of
mhm.
budget that you're going to need to really shoot something to get people involved. And it is obviously the whole thing. You can't be all AI, but you can bits and pieces here and there can help out just to
Mhm.
kind of get a little bit of movement going, and then until you can pull some funds and then and shoot it for real. I think that's quite acceptable. There's no problem with proof of concept kind of thing because you're not really selling that. It's just kind of like, hey, look
No, you're
what
not.
this looks like. Let's move forward and produce it. So I think,
This is our vision for Kenya Beyond the Postcard, which is an AI generated poster background.
yeah,
You understand? So when you have limited funds as a small business, that's a startup, really, really pretty much. I say you start at the level that you're at and use the technology that's available. I don't yield on that. I don't compromise on that. I don't feel like you are trying to take somebody's job delivery like a lot of these filmmakers are. That's crashing out, unfortunately. I think a lot of people need to learn how to pivot and adjust, right? You got to kind of like know how to pivot and adjust and expand out your skill set. I don't feel like you need to, as a photographer, go and learn AI, right? But if there is a lane of photography that is taking up a lot of room, then maybe pivot to another portion of photography and make that your star, right?
yeah,
If we find a program that is able to edit something quicker using AI, would Jacob rather do the pro account and get his stuff done so then he can take on more clients? Because the job is to feed your audience. It ain't about the ego, right? Our job is to feed the audience the creative content that we have in our minds. And if you're going to limit yourself by saying, I'm not using that technology, that is just showing your limitations, not the other people on the receiving end. And that's my thoughts on it.
yeah. So
Do you concur?
I concur. Yes, I do. I agree. It is helpful. It has, there. Yeah, it's helpful again just to get things going and then you put all your real work into it as well on the back end. But I just want to say,
And there's so many filmmakers that layer it, bro. There's so many
yeah,
filmmakers that are layering CGI, visual effects, and then they're throwing AI on the back end to, you know what I mean? Just to like do their storyboards and all of that. It's just layering it into what you're already existingly, using is what I'm saying.
yeah.
So,
I
and
mean,
even with,
just for the
mhm,
still images alone, I remember even being early in my career, like storyboarding shoots and working. I'm just not a great like drawing artist. It's just not my jam. I just I'm like stick figures, boop boop boop. Oh,
we,
look where you going, pew pew pew. Like, okay, this is horrible. It would be amazing now to be like, oh, shoot this person, this jumping go from here to over this mountain. All right, that's the shot. Next shot, close up
mhm,
of like, wow, it's amazing. Where I'm like, stick figure
mhm.
smile, like it's the worst.
And
The
not only
agencies would
that,
be like,
again, it
who
goes,
drew this? Who drew this? Who let this person in the room?
who drew this?
Well, it wasn't me. It was
You're like stick figure.
the intern over there. We should fire that guy.
But also it goes back to budget, right? It's not that you don't want to hire these people, but if you don't have the budget for them,
Yeah.
right? There's a publicist that, I was trying to get to help promote this project. She was like, well, Vonti, I'm in the thousands. I'm in the tens of thousands to hire me. And I cannot hate on you. Listen, you are seasoned, all of that. I'm just not at the level to throw, 50,000 at somebody for, 3 months of publicity. Maybe down the line when the funding becomes available. But again, for indie filmmakers that do not have that capital, I would use this as a time to get your vision out there. I think even with the documentary stuff, we would do reenactments, historical reenactments, right? That would take an entire crew and cost us a lot of money. But if we do not have the capital, I would definitely lean into the technology.
I mean, it is a double-edged sword. You're like, okay, we really should shoot it, but then you're looking like historically. You're like, okay, you look at movies in the past, like most of the rom-coms that we know from like the late 80s, early 90s, I'm aging myself, like $15 million movies, no problem. Like now, those are like $150 million movies. You're like, whoa, what happened?
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, now you can't get something out. We're talking $500 million. Like, excuse me, what? What'd you say? Like, like that's outrageous. Like, okay, for the small filmmakers, like I'm trying to put something together. Like, I have $100,000. And usually you'd be like, yeah, we can do something with that. Now you're like, no, bro, that's not going to buy lunch. What are you talking about? Man, it is a bit helpful to be a little bit savvy, and it does clear up a lot of space for post-production and other things that you'd have to shoot. Then now you're like, okay, well, we can fill in the blanks and still create the story and make beautiful visuals and shoot the majority of it, but we still need to fill in some of the blanks that would be higher CG and kinds of production value. So I don't want people to get upset promoting AI, but it helps.
Listen, you asked about the AI and it's keeping it real, right? It does bring up a good point that you mentioned, even with the capital side, right? Brand sponsors and finding investors and everything. I wish more investors trusted in independent filmmakers to take a chance and roll the dice on that as well. I feel like back in the day, it was like that, right? The Spielbergs and all of that would get those kind of deals to where you wouldn't blink an eye if a filmmaker just said, look, I need 5-10 million. They came with the right strategy. They gave you the full gambit of it. Right now, it feels like so much of a restriction on that. It's all about like, how many social media followers do you have, you unknown filmmaker, that even as a screenwriter that is successful will never have a couple million, followers and stuff. Like I'm looking at people that have made massive movies, right? I've looked at screenwriters pages on social and they got like 4,000 followers, 2,000. They're not in the millions. So I wish a lot more acquisitions people, capital investors, media funds, and all of that would go back to the original thing of film festivals, going to see it, looking at teasers, not worrying so much about, what is their social imprint, right? Their social media imprint versus, will the studio want this content? If I give this person the dollars, I really love the trailer that they have. I love the strategy. I love the deck that they came up with, the attachment. It's just, I just wish more of that would happen, especially all in the indie space. Yeah. It seems very challenging, man. It really is. So
it is
for any media funds that are watching right now, please like the pictures. Between me and Jacob, we got about 40 years of filmmaking.
Please, we'll send you the teasers to all of them.
Yeah, we will send you the teasers to the 40 projects that are waiting in the background.
Oh my goodness.
With budget and tax reports. Look at me promoted. Listen, you could be a part of Kenya Beyond the Postcard.
Of course you can. Of course.
Huh?
Of course.
Of course. You can be a part. Yeah. And I love that though. It's being realistic on where you are, right? Even doing this Kickstarter. I've never done any kind of fundraising like this before to this magnitude. But the lift of it is I want the right kind of crew. I want the right kind of exposure for it. That's why I show up for the marketing and everything. And I want to give the studios access and the streaming platforms and all of that stuff access to some content, but I want it to be at a level that I'm used to seeing and you're used to seeing as well. Not saying you can't do it on a smaller budget, but to have that flexibility. I get so tired of hearing about indie filmmakers that are just like, yeah, man, we could do this 10,000 less if, Jacob just brings his phone out of his back pocket, man. And it's like, do you know what the studio throw at projects? Like the craft services budget is like $1 million. You understand? I've heard of people like eating lobster on these sets. Like we're throwing
cup of coffee and a
$20,000 watches at these people, huh?
Cup of coffee and a
What'd
bagel.
you say? Yeah, man, there was a studio that had gotten bought, and I'm not gonna say who it is, but if you're a detective, you'd be able to figure it out. They've been sold and resold a lot. Not the one that I have worked at. I'm just, not them. This company at least 10 times a studio throughout its existence. And even from like me getting in the industry back in 2004, I think it was. I can't even calculate. Them people used to ride in private jets. Regular employees, like directors, rolling in private jets. VP. Oh yeah. Oh, they had a bad reputation and went belly up. It was almost like a gold rush, a gold mine. I can go on and on and on about this corporate side of things, man, and the things that I know. So
let's talk about this specific documentary. Let's talk about Beyond the Postcard, Kenya.
Which we have.
It's not just a one episode, a 1 hour. It's tell us about the push to continue as a series as an 8-part, and then beyond.
Yes. So the whole thing that I see it as is almost like a franchise situation, like other countries, other nations around the world. This is something that they can definitely do with my IP formula when we want to get there, right? So you did a lot of filmmaking in Asia and everything. The standard for a lot of travel series is just the one-off stuff. So for my thing, my vision for Kenya is to really go in and write and see something empowering, right? Like let's focus on, and I said this before, if someone from Kenya watched this, they would be so proud of their country. So yes, I want to do it multiple episodes, make them customized for each episode and not be linear either. So like if you watch the pilot and then you landed on episode 4 out of anywhere, you don't need to go back and watch 2, right? So it's not one of those situations. But yeah, that is the goal, man, is to make this something that can be continuous season after season.
Yeah, even in like we were discussing a while ago about a diaspora kind of act motion where you're like, you watch it and you're like, hey, that looks like a cool place to live. Let's go check it out. All it takes is just an idea, and then you move. I moved to Asia that way. It was just kind of an idea, and then it happened, and then it happened. It was awesome. So yeah, it just takes like one kernel of an idea, something to kind of spark it, and then you're like, all right, let's move on that, and it becomes really.
And me and you discussed that. Yeah, me and you discussed that was like, the pilot episode would be almost like the kitchen sink, starting in Nairobi, then going further out, showing like the breadth of the country overall, and then coming back in and doing like a very much drilled down into those individual stories. So yeah, that's really what it is, Jacob. Is like I'm really excited to do something that hasn't been done before when it comes to a travel docuseries. We're not going to give up the whole formula on what we plan.
No. No. This is not that kind of show. There's no spoilers. It's not that kind of show.
No. No spoilers on that. But it is very much immersing ourselves into the country. You're I think you said you're part Lebanese, right? Assyrian. Oh, yes. Okay.
Yes, very nomadic.
Break that down.
Tribe in the Middle East. But no, I mean, yeah, no
Mm.
country no longer, but yes, very historical.
Oh wow, that's really dope though. But you said it's not a country any longer?
No, the Assyrian Empire was don't take me for like loosely, maybe after Jesus, maybe before.
Oh, okay, okay. So it's like like the USSR that got dismantled and
Yeah,
stuff.
that's
But
correct. Yes.
you're saying like what are they called? Like what are so when they were dismantled? I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to sound so heartless,
No, no,
but you were mentioning like it was
no.
like,
It's just like a past empire that controlled much of the Middle East and beyond, and then as time goes, like the Persians come, and then the next, and then the next. Like this is just how, yeah,
Mhm.
it's just history, a bit of it.
Yeah, it's just history, but that's a really good thing to say because the continent of Africa has been the same way. There's a lot of different countries around the world that have come in, and made it like sovereignties and all that stuff. And even today, so that's something that we could do a deep dive into. But I do love that about that, even your historical
Well, yeah, I
that,
mean,
right? So,
but it's me, but it's the Africa for sure. I mean, like most of Europe's been there, and there's lots of stories like how it was before, and then you know the foreigners move
mhm,
in, and then things change, and then there's a ton of
mhm,
history even in that, like that still shows its face today, and it's that's all interesting. It's incredible, like it's
mhm,
they're all stories to be told, and I think that in itself is because it just not just reflects on the culture that was, but like how it is moving forward,
mhm,
and those are the kind of stories that we can talk to people about
mhm,
and hear their version of that, and that's the things that you don't really.
mhm,
There's no book you're like, oh yeah, I remember that in history. No, 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 no. This is
mhm,
historically a land of verbal communication, and even through song
mhm.
and dance. No one's writing anything
Yes.
down. Like everything is kind of just told from generation to generation, and that's kind of how history flows. So,
Mhm.
yeah, unlocking
And
those things, telling
even
those
as a
stories.
Black American,
That's going to be
huh? What did you say?
telling those stories and unlocking those past secrets. That's kind of what I think would be
Mhm.
magical about this series for sure.
And see, even I think that's something really great to point out because again, there is times where fashion, languages, and all of that, like it might be a one person existing left in a whole generation after generation that still speaks a certain language or make a certain cloth or tattooing or anything of that nature. Those are the kind of minute stories that we want to focus on definitely in Kenya. Not just, but it's beyond the postcard, right?
Right?
That's why we call it that. It might not be the definitive name. People do not kill us, right?
No.
We might get there and be like, whoa, this sounds even better, right? But for now, it is called Kenya Beyond the Postcard. But those are the kind of stories that we want to do. Even sports stuff, technology and everything, they're very progressive in that way. Uso Amando, I spoke about him last time. Kelvin Uso, I think he's of Different Dimensions, limited production company and everything. He's our local Kenyan producer that's going to be involved in the project and stuff. And we're going to just do a deep dive. So again, Jacob, yeah, that's why we want to do this scouting trip. Me and Jacob together again. I'm like, Jacob, bring your 4K camera,
Here
bro.
we go.
Bring
Yeah,
your
of course.
camera. Your
Of course.
yeah,
Glad we
you're slicing and editing footage day by day, bro.
shoot
But
in
I
edit,
would
bro.
love, yeah. I know that two things I did want to bring up, and I know we have another 5 minutes left and everything. So I'm happy for all the people that might have tuned in. If you got anything to follow up with, that's info at vontipictures.com. You can also DM me, and if it's opportunities to get involved, we have our Kickstarter coming on August 31st as well. So we'll be sharing links on that. Definitely continue following me. But I wanted the audience to know why I continue to work with Jacob. So I'm gonna give you your flowers,
My
Jacob.
flowers.
Don't lose it, okay?
Thank
Your
you.
flowers, bro.
Thank you. I appreciate
When
it.
you when you were out in Asia, filming a lot of content, right? You did Panasonic, you were doing things for the Beijing Olympics and all of that stuff. You were even going into the bush with the palm oil and everything, doing mini docus and all of those things, philanthropy stuff. I love that you were willing to get down and dirty when it comes to filmmaking, and what you bring out of all of that is things that look amazing cultural wise. You don't need to be a part of the culture to actually express the culture that people can respect it.
No, thank you. Yeah, exactly. And I think it's really just about uh, understanding, obviously, the stories you're trying to tell and what it's going to take to tell
Mm-hmm.
them. And the interesting things are not easily gained. You have to dig. You have to talk to a lot of people, stories about other people that
Mm-hmm.
they know, move back and forth. Again, it still even moves into your journalistic background where you're like, okay, where'd you hear that from? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
this person. Oh, I know this guy. I know that this is, and then this kind of tells a deeper story of what you were looking at before, and it's amazing. It was a pleasure to shoot all those things and to work with all those people as well. And yeah, I enjoy doing it. It's just because it's discovering new things and always learning new things from different people.
Yes.
Like you never know, you have an idea of
Exactly.
what it should be, and then it turns sideways. You're like, wow, I didn't expect that, but let's go with it.
Let's go with it.
Yeah,
Whoa, get that drone shot up.
that's all
You
right.
know,
Put the drone in the
get the
air.
drone up in
Do
the
it.
air. Bring the chopper. No, no, but that was one thing, and I wanted to point that out as well. Even when I asked you to do the proof of concept teaser, and this is why me and you gel well together and work well together. That's how you know it's decades of doing filmmaking together and trying to really get our voices out there. I didn't give you that many details other than the overarching, you had the pitch deck, you had all the materials that I created, the story concept overall, but you're very great at finding that minute and then being able to build off of it. Right. And look at me with a build off of it with my necklace and stuff. But I didn't have to have so much oversight. Right. It
Yeah,
was like 2, 3 cuts. Hey, Jacob, change this, do that, whatever, whatever. And it was a really amazing proof of concept trailer that's on my page and everything. We've shared it and stuff. Definitely you guys take a look at it, but it's something that Jacob literally edited, directed, all the things. You're also my creative director for Vonti Talks with Filmmakers as well. Came up with the intro, the pacing, all the things, man. Look, we're 35 episodes in.
I know
I
what
just
you
believe
expect.
in.
I know the level, or I'll be shouted at. So I'm just like working to make sure I don't get yelled at. So I understand the level. The bar is high.
Listen,
I'm
I'm a
pushing.
Brooklyn person. Listen, I set myself to a standard that is so high. It is hard for people
Oh my
to
god.
come with me. Somebody said, Bonte, you're like an eagle, and eagles fly solo. So there's going to be people below, right? That's trying to get up there with you, right?
Yeah.
But I hold myself to such a high standard when it comes to any job that I do. So for me to say, Jacob, you're killing it, just know that you're well respected, man. That's
Thank
all
you.
I'm gonna say. So
Thank you.
there's not a project that I wouldn't bring you on. I wouldn't trust somebody to have my back to go into an entire continent I've never went to before. Just like we went to the West Coast, we're going to get the job done, right? We're
Yeah.
going to come out with something amazing. And we're going to have a Hollywood studio that wants to pick this up for streaming or any other network that millions of people are going to be able to watch it. That is the goal. That is what I want. And we're going to make it happen. Kenya, beyond the postcard. I should have went into journalism, right?
Fantastic. That was great. I really appreciate that.
Kenya, beyond the postcard. Mic drop.
Wonderful.
But
Fantastic.
it's true, though. It's true.
Well,
I think that is.
yeah, that's us for now. Thank you for watching. And if you want to reach out again, give us your information, Vonti, please.
It is info@vontipictures.com. People can also check us out on the website, vontipictures.com. That's V as in Victor, ONTI, pictures with an S.com. You guys can learn more about us, more about the team. Jacob's also up there. Next week is Bill McCullen, who's coming on. He's the former head of content at the NFL, also a great director and sound and editor and all of that stuff.
Bill
We also
Fox.
have Richard Pilzer. Huh? Yeah, he's coming on. Jacob's met him. Richard Pilzer's coming on as well. He's from Harlem. I'm from Brooklyn, but he's all about the culture as well. So there's a few more interviews that we have coming down the pipeline that I'm excited about. And yeah, man, just keep in touch with us. We're looking for investors, brand sponsorship, studios that might be want to be following along with this, media coverage, whatever it is. But this is something that is passionate. Any project that I take on, Jacob, and I wanted to mention this before we end, I'm all about passion for it. I don't just align myself with a project because I want to align it or create something just to create it. Right? I have to see it. I have to believe it. I have to smell it. I have to breathe it in order to bring it to life the way that I want. So I'm not going to go do this Kenya project just to be some so-called famous filmmaker or anything like that. I'm doing it for the love of the people I've never met, for me being Black American and born here and dealing with a lot of racism and wanting to really empower the diaspora. So I'm excited, and thank you so much, Jacob.
Me too. Thank you for this opportunity. I appreciate it. And everyone out there, have a blessed day. You take care now.
Happy weekend.
Happy weekend.
It's a Friday. Bye.